Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for full moon in Aries that is happening on the 17th of October, and it's the super full moon, and it's the first full moon after the eclipses. So we have survived the eclipses, but there is still a lot going on. We are still receiving messages from eclipses. Their influence is strong for the next 6 months. So whatever has been happening in the last couple of months, especially in the last couple of weeks, will continue giving us insights, messages, clarities in the next 6 months. We will be receiving revelations and understanding and clarity of what we've been going through. So it's an ongoing process, it's not over. And this lunation is also very much connected to previous two eclipses. And previous eclipse happened in the sign of Libra. And this full moon is happening in Aries. So these are opposites. Now we have the moon in Aries and we have the sun in Libra. They are in opposition. This is what's full moon. We have full moon when the sun and the moon are looking at each other. They are now meeting again. The previous cycle was conjunction. They were together. And now they see each other. So we are also going to get some clarity about what these eclipses brought and what are they still bringing. And it's very powerful because, as I talked about in two previous videos, this is telling us a lot about ourselves. And Aries is the self. Aries, the first house, the ascendant. It's about who I am. It's about how I see myself. It's about how I feel about myself. It's my sense of self. And we are going to learn a lot about ourselves. And we have already learned a lot about ourselves through our relationships dynamics in these last couple of weeks especially. And whatever we see around us, whatever we experience around us, whatever we feel about others around us is telling us about the aspects of ourselves that we don't know of. It tells us about the hidden aspects of ourselves, and these hidden aspects will be revealed more and more. And that's why I said in previous videos, blame is lame. And don't blame it on the triggers, but deal with what that triggered in you. And it's also very important to remember, I shared this once when there were eclipses in Scorpio, last year, this was last year, somewhere in May. I shared this story, I forgot now the name of the guy, but he is popular, but there is, he shared his story, he went into a mental hospital where people were completely out of their minds, and it was an experiment, and he didn't have any personal touch or connection with them or communication. He was only asking himself, what's wrong with me, what's inside of me, so that I'm projecting this madness around me, what's wrong inside of me. And he was doing that for some time, and after some time the mental hospital was dismissed. They were all reset. So let's remember this. Of course, not all of us has this powerful ability to do it, but we can all try whenever we are in some situation that is uncomfortable or whatever that we don't like. We should always ask ourselves, what is inside of me that is creating this situation? What is happening inside of me now that is projecting this, that is manifesting this around me, that I'm seeing and feeling and experiencing? And as I also said, don't blame it on the one who triggered it, because these energies, now is Aries, it's about the self. It's about I'm coming back to myself after all these interactions, after all these relationships and possible dramas and tensions and whatever. I'm coming back to myself. I'm owning myself. I'm coming back to sense of self, and I'm going through a big healing, because this full moon is making a conjunction with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. And of course, we cannot be healed unless we are wounded. So in order to heal, we have to carry some wound, and we all came with some wounds. And Chiron in Aries is the wound, the identity wound, the primal wound of being abandoned, being rejected, not being seen, not being recognized for who we are. And this full moon is going to reveal that wound. And some people probably already felt it, because full moons are felt a couple of days before and couple of days later. And this full moon is going to illuminate the wound for all of us differently. Each of us has a different wound within themselves, but we are all carrying it. We are all healers. We are all wounded, and we all have traumas to deal with, and we all project our own wounds, and we fall in love with traumas that we recognize as our own. And these are all projections. And this full moon will shine a light on our wounds. It will bring it to light, and it will bring to light something that we've been avoiding, neglecting, ignoring, suppressing, burying, shutting down. Whatever we've been trying to push aside, not to deal with it, this full moon will bring it also, as well as these eclipses that have brought them. But, that's why I said many times in these previous videos about eclipses, nothing is as it seems. So let's be careful with making any decisions or choices, because nothing is as it seems. We may be tricked. Our feelings are tricking us. Our thoughts are tricking us. Our eyes are tricking us. So nothing is as it seems. And that's why we should all try so hard to really tap into ourselves and see what I have to deal with in myself. What am I projecting? What am I seeing that I don't like? So what is that inside of me telling me? So this full moon can also, because the sun is in Libra, in sign of relationships, so this can also create a situation where someone or something outside of us can reopen that wound. And it is reopened because it's supposed to be reopened so that we can see it, acknowledge it, adjust it, and deal with it, and transform it. Because the wound is the place of healing. There where the wound is, there is the medicine, there is the remedy. So we should be actually grateful to anything or anyone who reopens that wound, because that's what is supposed to happen actually. That's if someone reopens your wound, you should thank this person, because this person is playing an important role in your life to unlock that wound for you. And it's very important to know that this healing this healing is not somebody else's responsibility. It's our own responsibility. Nobody can heal me. I have to do it for myself. This full moon is happening on the 24th degree of Aries, and Chiron is on 22nd degree, so they're pretty close, and Chiron is retrograde. So this is something that we've already dealt with probably, but still needs to be transformed, still needs to be seen. And this full moon is also creating a square with its ruler Mars. Mars is in Cancer in its fall. And this can be also very struggling. And Mars is in Cancer making a square, so there is some kind of pressure, some kind of crisis to express ourselves. But we may feel unable to express ourselves because of this Mars in Cancer that creates this square, because we want to prove something. Mars in Cancer, I spoke about this already, suppressed anger, suppressed rage, passive aggression, something we cannot, deal with. We are maybe afraid to deal with something on our own, and then that's eating us. And we have to really make a conscious effort to break free from that inner imprisonment, because that's all that there is. We are all prisoners of our own conflicted mind and heart. And this full moon is going to bring these things to light. It will reveal to us something we have to see. And this square with Mars in Cancer can again bring some kind of conflict. And through this conflict, we will be brought to that wound. There is, here I am, there is someone in front of me, and someone triggers me, reopens that wound, creates a conflict. Then I walk again back to myself to realize that wound. And Mars in Cancer can bring up some, unresolved childhood issues, unresolved issues, unresolved emotional issues, emotional storms, emotional floods, as I said, because Mars in Cancer, fiery planet in a water sign, not really comfortable for Mars to be there. So we have to find alternative ways to deal with that suppressed anger and rage. And this full moon is also making a square with Pluto, and Pluto is on the last degrees of Capricorn now, making its final journey through Capricorn. And it's making square with Pluto, making square with Mars, with two malefics, so to say. So it can be pretty destructive as well, but let's remember, Pluto brings regeneration, recovery, transformation, ability to rise from the ashes like phoenix, to be reborn. We have to experience some kind of loss, some kind of death, so that we can be transformed. And these are big transformation of the self, big transformation of who we are. And we are now going through a big process of transformation and upgrade of our relationships. Big upgrade. And things will change. If we think one way now, we will think probably different in a couple of months. And this full moon is really reminding us that we are not yet individuals, but we are still divided within ourselves. In order for one to become an individual, one must become the one who cannot be divided within himself or herself. And we are not one within ourselves, we are many. We are divided and we are in conflict with ourselves, and maybe this is the truth that we have to admit within ourselves, that we are many. We change ourselves. We are different with one person, we are different with another person, we are different when we are alone, we are different in the morning, different in the evening. There are many of us, and our ancestors live through us, and we should really work on cleansing, cleaning, and healing ourselves from those toxic influences, subconscious fears and anxieties that we don't understand, because our ancestors live within us, and most of the time we are actually living their lives. We are not living our life. We think that we are this and that. I am like this, I am like that, I know how I react, I know myself, but this is not true. This is an illusion, because we are truly many. We carry multiple personalities within ourselves, and these eclipses and this full moon is really facing us with those many aspects of ourselves, with many different versions of ourselves. And how do we meet those different versions of ourselves? Well, through our relationships. That's why I'm telling you, and myself, let's try to see that these are also different aspects of ourselves, probably. This is how we're going to learn a lot about the sides of us that we don't know of. And, we either judge or justify things in life. This is, the big polarity, division, the big division, the division between judging and justifying. Are we judging someone and justifying the other, or are we judging ourselves then justifying ourselves? We are somehow always, stuck between these two polarities. And, we have to admit, we have to allow things to happen. We have to confront, we have to face, to go inward. And this is involution. And, without judgment, without criticism, without pointing fingers, without blaming games, self-responsibility is the key. This is full moon in Aries, the self. Take full responsibility of the self and come back to the self and really feel strong in that feeling that I am. This is the affirmation of Aries, I am. And this demands independence, not attachment, not dependence, not codependence, but true independence that allows others to be independent too, that allows others to have their space to be who they are. Because sometimes we just want to, own others or to be owned by others because we are desperate for company. And independence is true freedom. Independence is not loneliness. But it takes some time to reach that space, to reach that place. And, we are going to have an opportunity to experience freedom from our own limiting selves. And there are many selves, many layers of the self, and this full moon could really show us those different layers of who we are. Because this is a time when we are going to see that one-time satisfaction and temporary pleasure is not the answer. One-time satisfaction, one-time fulfillment, and then we have to refill and refill again and again. And we stuff it down with junk information, junk food, short-term knowledge, instant information, instant satisfactions, which never bring true pleasures. It only deepens the void, and it's a never-ending loop. We are, pushed down into the rabbit hole. So it's also important to know that we are usually slaves not only to our own needs, but more to the needs of others, especially those who we are attached to. We are then addicted to the needs of others. And this is also what creates a big division within ourselves. So this full moon in Aries is really showing us how we've been slaves to the needs of others. And probably the other person is also slave to the needs of others, and then the other is also slave to the other's needs. So it's a vicious circle, definitely. But if we start observing it and healing it within ourselves, things will soon start changing around us, because then we create a different kind of vibration and field around us, and then people around us also have an opportunity to heal and to be independent and to feel themselves, to have space for themselves. And it's important to know that we have choices. Aware of limitations, aware of free will, we always have choices, and our choices create karma. And, the question is, which way will you choose? And it's also important to know that, astrology is teaching us that cycles are repeating, but as I said, no cycle is exactly the same. They are always a little bit different. Something is always changed there. It's more like a spiral. It's never the same. And we are learning a lot through these cycles. And since this Pluto in Capricorn is finishing its 15-year-long transit, and it's making square with this full moon, and it makes a slight opposition with Mars in Cancer, this could be something that we've been struggling with for 15 years already. And for everyone it's something different, but whatever these eclipses brought and this full moon illuminates, it's probably related to something that we are struggling with for 15 years. And Pluto in Capricorn, as I said, these are, destructions of old system, of who we used to be, of our old attachments, of our old traumas, of our old structures. And these structures are falling apart now. And, we learn and grow through polarities. And every relationship, because, Aries, I am. Libra, we are. And we learn who we are through learning who we are, and vice versa. So, when we decide not to resolve things, when we decide to be angry, to be mad, to be in any kind of situation that is feeding our bitterness and our stiffness, this creates more and more karma with these persons, or in those situations, or within ourselves, in our own perception of our life and of ourselves. This creates more illusions because we make a decision to stay stuck. And it's much easier. I know it's hard at the beginning, but then when you start really working on it, you realize that it's much easier to see all those things as something that is showing a lot about your own unresolved traumas that you have to experience, that you have to acknowledge, so that you can move on, so that you can rewrite your DNA script. Because if we don't recognize those things, we just live a mechanical life. We just fall in the same situations over and over again, or we attract same people, we attract same relationships. Even though it's a new person, it's the same story. I mean, it can be a bit different, but the essential theme is the same, because it's the same trauma within you that attracts you and that creates a problem. And there's a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat and a lot of fire, a lot of dynamic energy, and it's really allowing us to walk through that purging fire and to use this fire as something that is going to help us heal and cleanse, because this Chiron is also there, making this conjunction with this full moon. There's a lot of healing energy, and this is a warrior energy, pioneering energy, assertive, action-oriented energy. Warriors, strength, bravery, boldness, courage, ability to move forward, to take action, to do something about it, to stand up for yourself. But of course, being humble all the time, being aware of your priorities and being aware of the needs of others as well at the same time. And that's the balance. We have to keep the balance all the time. And if something is disbalanced, this full moon will show us what's in this balance, and we will have an opportunity to rebalance it, to bring it back into that sweet spot, to find the sweet spot. And we may be asking ourselves, how can I face my fears to evoke courage? These are warrior questions. We may feel like we are in some kind of war. We may feel like we are on a battlefield, but this is what really triggers power and inner strength within ourselves. And there's a lot of everything happening that is actually pushing us into that space of gaining inner strength, because this Mars in Cancer is really about inner strength. It's about emotional strength, and whatever is happening is actually helping us to gain it. And of course there is a lot of tension, because it's square with Mars and with Pluto, and plus Mars is in Cancer in its fall, and Pluto is at the last degrees of Capricorn. So it's very intense, it's challenging, it's uncomfortable, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just transformative. It's bringing some profound transformation within ourselves. And Mars is god of war, and Pluto is planet of extremity, of extremes, of transformation, the lord of the underworld. And this energy, of course, it feels tense, but for some people the worst has passed, because these eclipses really made a lot of they brought a lot of storms, and now things are going to become a lot clearer. After the storm, we see things more clearly, and this full moon will bring more revelations. And it can be also stressful if we allow it, and we will be seeing a lot of changes, not only on the world stage, and also in people's lives. Pluto, planet of transformation, is trying to transform and to bring out a lot of woundedness because it's making square also with this Chiron. And some kind of inner hell is being brought up in order to transmute it in something else. And unconscious attachments are truly something that is very hard and that we have to acknowledge as soon as we can and deal with it. And every full moon and every eclipse is helping us to see those inner hells and to transmute them into something else, because we can transmute. That's what Pluto is about. It's about transmutation. It's about metamorphosis. It's about osmosis. It's about, dying and coming back to life different, changed, transformed. So if something seems like it's I don't know, it's ending, it's not. It's just transforming. And this full moon is really teaching us that we are converting from dark to light. And we should always allow people to transform. And of course, if we don't allow ourselves to transform, this is the problem, because that's when we don't give a chance for others to transform. So we first have to give ourselves permission to be transformed. But then we have to let go of some things within ourselves that we are strongly attached to. And, extremes may be seen. Extremes in our behavior, in behavior of those around us, extreme behavior. And Aries is about competition and survival of the fittest. Reactive, these are, reactive places within us. And, egocentric warrior energy can be activated too. Selfishness. We have an opportunity to transform this selfishness, to recognize it and to transmute it, to transform untreated ego into developed ego. And we may be faced with a lot of resentment too, and fights. And this realm of duality between light and dark exists in our own emotional world too. And there's a lot of attraction and repulsion happening. Like attracts like. And are we comparing our knowledge with others? Are we comparing our beauty with others? Are we comparing our expressions with others? Or are we just focused on our work, on our creativity, on our expression? And how can we use this as a healthy competitive energy, healthy pioneering energy of Aries? Let's watch others to inspire us, to remind us of good things. Let's choose to see the good in others, not to always search for some mistakes in others, so that we can compete in some way and feel better. And this is very destructive. This is very toxic. And this is how we fall into possessiveness and jealousy. But if we are able to really focus on the good in others, I'm not saying to ignore what's bad. I mean, bad. Nothing is essentially bad. Everything is purposeful. But if we decide, if we make a conscious decision to focus on the highest qualities of ourselves and others, this is also making huge change. Because, nothing will change on its own. Because we have to make the change first within ourselves. And this full moon is really bringing us a completely new awareness of what we need and who we are. And, this is Aries' sense of self after all these interactions with others along the way, returning back to who we are, to what we need and what is correct for our energy. And it can feel from time to time that it's much easier to do things for others than it is for us to do it for ourselves. And we may have to refill our ourselves, to refuel, to tune up, to fuel up what we need, to make sure that we have enough gas in our tank so that we are not giving it all to others or sacrificing ourselves too much or taking responsibility for other people's reactions, actions, and intentions. But we definitely have to look within ourselves. Sense of self, Aries, I am, and Chiron in Aries, I am the wounded healer. It's my wound, it's my healing, it's my work to heal myself. It's nobody else's work, it's nobody else's responsibility. And if something hurts me, it's also my responsibility to transform it. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask for support and help. Of course we do, but not to the point of becoming addicted to help from external sources, because we know that we have to apply the support and help that we receive from others. Then we have to apply this and deal with it in the most encouraging and constructive and powerful way. And this is really giving us a courage to hear ourselves, a courage to hear our wounds, courage to trust our own impulses, courage to be mindful of how we act, of how we go about it, and awareness at the same time of other people's perceptions of what they need and taking their needs into account too. And this Mars now has a conversation with Pluto, so this could be, something that we want but can't have. And this can also be a big wound for many, and it can be uncomfortable. This is desire to start something new. And of course, it's a new sense of self, new sense of self, new identity, new identity. And there is something that we definitely have to take care of when it comes to us, to who we are. And this is a time when weak points become stronger. Weak points have the power to become stronger now. And we definitely have to take care of ourselves, coming back into what we need and want. And for this, balance is required for sure. And universe will show you where you need to look. And it's very powerful time to stay clear in our own energy, to find our own stability, to find our own equilibrium, to maintain our balance so that we can feel strong and clear in who we are. And Pluto is destruction, but also construction. Let's not forget this. Pluto destroys something only in order to recover it, to rebuild it, to rebirth it, to transform it. And this is time of regeneration, and it's time to improve something in our life, to improve our sense of self, to improve our behavior towards ourselves. And by doing so, we improve the quality of our relationships as well. And we need to see, to make sure the decision we are making is not taken impulsively. Or let's make sure that this decision, if we are making any decision during this time, let's make sure that this decision is not based on past traumas, on past toxic experiences. Let's make sure it's not based on illusionary thoughts, feelings, emotions. Let's make sure it's not based on unclear information. Let's make sure it's not based on impulsive reactions. Let's make sure it's not coming from the place of feeling hurt. But we have to make decisions when we are completely, clear within ourselves. That's when we see things clearly. And Mars represents reflexes and impulsive reactions. And we definitely are now reminded to make sure of what we're going to decide and say. and it will have a very important influence. Sometimes it's better not to do anything, but just to observe consciously. To observe consciously and to ask ourselves, as I said in the beginning, what's this inside of me that is creating this situation around me? And I have to say this sentence again. When we are emotional, we are not rational. So if we are too emotional, we should know that we are blinded. We don't see things very clearly. And I recently was listening some interview with someone about traumas, and this person was talking about negative emotions. And there was one very interesting thing that I heard, and I know this from different sources, but this was just a confirmation of this, that each negative emotion is lie. Every negative emotion is based on a lie, and we should never trust it. So this is very powerful thing to know and carry with yourselves, and this Pluto in square with this full moon in Aries could really bring things that are completely out of our control, that we have no power of, where we feel powerless completely. And it's very important, again, to repeat, when we cannot control things outside of ourselves, the only thing we can control is how we react to what's going on. So let's make sure that we react in a way that is healthy and constructive. And there's a lot of emotional healing. There is a lot of psychological healing, and there's a lot of physical healing as well. And we are definitely healing some powerful things that are probably older than us, that are related to our ancestral karmic patterns, definitely. And some wounds will be exposed. So let's be conscious, let's be careful, let's take care, let's avoid getting trapped in something we don't want to. And as I said, we can make mistakes when we are making decisions, when we are too emotional. So this full moon is also reminding us to take a real care of ourselves, to give ourselves some space to heal, to spend more time in nature, to listen to ourselves, to try to be more understanding and forgiving at the same time. And of course, we cannot be perfect. Nothing can be perfect in this realm, but we can always strive for being better and for allowing ourselves to transform every situation into something better. If something happens that is uncomfortable, let's make it more comfortable. Let's make it more powerful. Let's make it count. Let's make it worthy and valuable. These are, karmic reasons, karmic contracts, spiritual reasons. And we are looking for truth. We are looking for meaning. And we are, able to reshape our life now. So, but let's be careful, as I don't know where I spoke about this, in which video anymore, but things are shape-shifting around us. The whole reality is constantly shape-shifting according to our inner state of being. So everything that we see and experience is shape-shifting around us, and it's making different, situations and shapes that are in alignment with our inner state of being, that we are mostly unaware of, that we are completely unconscious of. These are subconscious realms. Subconscious means we have no access there, but this full moon will give us access into that space, and we should be fearless in going there into that subconscious realm within ourselves. And there are many, many synchronicities happening in all of this. So let's pay attention to what's going on around us. Let's keep our eyes open. And it's very demonstrative energy, but also very diabolic, but very demonstrative. And it's showing us everything. And also dreams, because we are still in eclipse season. Whenever we are in eclipse season, our dreams have the power to also release and reveal things that we have to reveal and release. And we have to embrace these changes in a positive way, you know. We have to see what we want to store, what we want to hold back and reserve. And this Aries energy is about taking first steps into a new journey, new chapter. Full moon, emotional growth. There is a strong emotional connection to theme of starting something over or starting something brand new. Or we may be continuing something now that is, emotionally connected to new beginning. And we are now able to manage it all. We are building stability in places where we were unstable. Definitely. This will give us power to build stability in those places where we felt very unstable. And we are going to see what major contributions we would love to give to the world, because the world is not separate from us, you know. Whatever happens in the world is also a reflection of us. And Libra Aries challenges within relationships. And maybe we are too much rooted in who we once were. But this full moon is giving us powerful ability to uproot ourselves and to transform ourselves, to rebuild ourselves, to regenerate ourselves. And, to our image, our physical appearance, our identity, our style, our looks, if we are doing the same exact thing as before, we are going to have same results. Something has got to change. So we can try with small things. Aries is the first house. Our, as I said, physical appearance, image, behavior, who we are, and how we look, how we express ourselves. So we can make some small changes in our image. It doesn't matter, some small change. And let's see, will that create some more changes? We can start with very simple things, but we have to be willing to transform into something better. And this is the power of transformation. It's not about becoming something that we don't like, but becoming something we like. But in that process of transformation, we always think that we are losing something. But actually, no, we are always gaining something. It's our illusion, it's our impression. And we are finding new way of doing things, new way of communicating with others, new, better way of doing things, different way of reacting, different way of inner reaction as well, different way of expressing our wants and needs. This is what is needed. And this will give us ability to have more time and freedom in life. This is about being, we are going to see, are we being committed to things that are not right for us? Where have we been giving away our power too much? Now we can gain back this power. And these things will be revealed in the future. And when I say giving away power, this doesn't necessarily mean to other people, but we are giving away our power on many things that we are thinking about, that we are feeling, that we are analyzing, that we are, creating within ourselves. And we are now gaining back that power through being more aware of our own wants and needs. And this is something, something may be a very great idea, but it may not be great for you or for me, but for somebody else it will. And this full moon will also reveal us if we've been chasing somebody else's dreams, somebody else's ideals, somebody else's plans, somebody else's wants and needs. We have to see what is my dream, what is your dream, because my dream may not be your may be different, and it may work for you, but it may not work for me. So some things may come true, but we may see that we are not satisfied with them, especially if these are, external wants and needs, external fulfillments that are very temporary and that don't have that essential quality of transformation that is happening within. And many wants and needs are falling away now. Many wants and needs, we will see. And we will see how we easily stay stuck in our traumas because they are very attractive, especially, as I said, when we recognize them in another person. We are attracted because of that wound. And now the Chiron is in Aries, it's in opposition with the Sun in Libra, so we see the wound and we get attracted to that wound. But that's another loop. That's another, just again being stuck. That's what creates a toxic relationship, actually. Because we cannot heal another, we cannot fulfill their wound. We cannot fulfill the void of that wound. So it's very important to deal with our own wound and allow others to have space to deal with their own wound. And this period, it may feel hard to rest because, we may have a feeling like we have to prepare for many things, do many things, working overtime, multiple projects, and it can be very restless and reckless energy. But in all of that, there is a really powerful potential for being able to rest in the middle of that madness, to always be in the state of observing, being the conscious observant of what's going on. And knowing that no matter what happens, we can still own ourselves. No matter what happens, I am. Whatever happens, I am. And this is what's really important, and full moons always bring things to a head. Full moons bring culminations and revelations and things that have been swept under the carpet, things that now need to be seen and expressed, things that need to be revealed, like patterns in our life that need to be seen and acknowledged. What are we doing that is compulsive, that is obsessive, that we are not able to stop, and that we know that we really need to stop? This is, Pluto obsessions. And Pluto is, as I said, making a square with full moon and making a slight opposition with Mars. This may be in a collective way too, of course. What do we need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And, challenges, Aries is about me. Me. Do what's important for me, but not in a selfish way. And, we may not get approval from others about something that we want to do, but let's not excommunicate them. Give them space in our heart somewhere, because this full moon in Aries will give us the courage to do something for ourselves that is new and pioneering. But we have to be careful. I wouldn't suggest making any decisions now because of these squares. Square with the ruler of the full moon, which is in fall, in Cancer, square with Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn, conjunction with Chiron, opposition with Sun in Libra, where we just had eclipses. It's really still a lot of confusion and illusion and deception there. Our mind is tricking us, our emotions are tricking us, and the only really powerful thing we can rely on is knowing that I am, no matter what, I am. And that everything I see is a reflection and projection of my own inner state of being. And I'm learning about myself through others. I'm learning about myself through everything that I experience and through my reactions. My reactions tell me everything about myself. And something that is triggered is still coming out, and it will be coming out in the next 6 months. And we will know when we need to push and when we need to pull back, listen, and be quiet. Knowing when to make a break before taking action. If we are not sure about something, wait and see. Don't rush. Don't make decisions quickly. It's not the time really for that. Balance is needed. Staying in our personal power, allowing others their space and their personal power. And, we are going to see how engaged we are with life. How can I engage in this moment and bring my world to life? Do I feel alive? Is my fire burning? How can I illuminate my fire? We have the power to light up others now with our own light. If we are able to illuminate our own fire, we are definitely able to light up others now. And of course, we can also experience the other way around, where we may light up ourselves thanks to somebody else's fire if we allow it to happen. And this full moon is really, really a fiery dance, but a purging one, not the burning one, definitely. Of course, we may feel burned in some places because of this square with Mars and with Pluto and Chiron, the wound. We may feel burned, but we need to feel burned because this is how we're going to work towards that healing and purging. And we can definitely experience something very powerful through our connections now. And the ability to feel ourselves and to know ourselves, to get to know ourselves through others. And somebody may really give us some important information that illuminates us. And we may connect with some people who can enlighten us in some way. And the path of evolution starts in Aries, and path of involution starts in Libra. And this is the first house, the ascendant, the first breath, the imprint. This is where the patterns come from. So it's important to know that these patterns will be revealed and projections will be revealed. And the sun's journey through Venus ruled Libra is bringing emphasis to everything from our one-on-one partnerships to our ability to seek compromise or to recognize the lack of it. And where the sun represents our ego and physical reality, the moon is symbolic of our inner world and emotional landscape. And this is where the full moon helps us get clear on where there's been a possible disconnection. And specifically when it comes to our emotional and physical reality. It's really important to see how are we feeling at this time. What's driving us forward? What's driving you forward? What motivates you? What inspires you? Have you been entertaining the idea of starting something new for yourself, with yourself, in order to improve the sense of self? And Mars is planet of desire and passion. Let's not forget that. While Libra prefers to contemplate and seek another's opinion via conversation as a way to reach compromise. But all of this could make us feel a bit skeptical about our next steps. And it's definitely time to release some big burden and big wound, to recognize it, and to take advantage of this time to reflect on those next steps and whether our actions are aligned with our true want and need, you know. And all of this could provoke feelings of vulnerability and resentment, but instead of giving in to those past triggers, this is a chance to rise above those triggers because we know them, we've seen them, they are familiar. And all of this is actually leading us to a positive breakthrough, of course. All these things, that all storms, all mess, all chaos always leads to something that is good, to something that is a breakthrough, like some kind of an epiphany, of an aha moment, sudden realization of something. And something we didn't acknowledge before. This is deeper contact with something that connects us with who we are, something sensitive, vulnerable, and something we've been working on, and something that emotionally triggers us or emotionally gets to us. And this is a very big healing journey, as I said. And Chiron has been showing us, Chiron wants to contact us through these wounds, and like knocking on our heart and showing us, like, look at me, I'm here, you have to recognize me in order to work with me, to use me as your powerful healing tool. And that's let's remember, just Aries is called the light of life itself, and the ram, Aries the ram, leads us into the creative life of earth and into the darkness of matter. This is a cardinal cross, Aries, the first one. And it's a very powerful time for accepting the nourishing heat, as well as realizing that this fire burns, but it also purges. So let's all give our best to use this fire as a purging tool, to cleanse ourselves and to come back home to who we are truly, without projecting our wounds and suppressed rage on others anymore. This is a very powerful time for healing, so let's all try and give our best to do so. I love you all, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.